I think the most important question from the first part of episode 79 is this. Why does the Titan TV man, aka the Guardian of Destiny, destroy his own allies, even though he is aware of what is happening around him? Many would say that perhaps when a Titan, or any other character, is infected, they still understand what is happening but cannot control themselves. This was the case with the Speakerman Titan, who, in episode 57, apparently immediately understood the situation, but was unable to speak. However, developing such an important storyline in such a banal way would be extremely uninteresting. If Dafuk did everything the way we imagine it, without delving deeper into the essence of events, the series would have lost its intrigue long ago. Therefore, I came to the conclusion that perhaps the Titan TV man's plan is not yet complete. After all, he would hardly risk himself and his squad just to get a couple of cannons from Astro Toilets. But before I continue, please like and subscribe to the channel, because unfortunately, most people watch without subscribing. Well, let's continue. First, let me remind you that in episode 77, we learned that Titan TV man had a plan, the essence of which we tried to guess for a long time. After all, in part 4 of episode 77, he single-handedly went up against a crowd of Astro Toilets, where he was, to put it mildly, punished. In the full version of the same episode, he unexpectedly appears at his base and brings several Astro Toilet technologies, including the Juggernaut cannon. At the same time, he says that the scientists should no longer be nervous about the lack of enemy race technologies. However, it was this moment that stumped everyone. After all, logically, TV Man's plan had to be something more than just getting the technology, especially if seconds later he is taken under control by the Astro Toilets themselves. This turn of events seemed too strange for a character who had previously been portrayed as the strongest Titan. It seems to me that the Titan TV man deliberately wanted to be taken prisoner. And before you interrupt me, let me clarify. Yes, TV man the Titan did not know that the Astro Toilets already had technology capable of stopping teleportation or even pursuing a target after it had moved. That's why he was captured in a way he didn't originally intend. Moreover, he jeopardized the alliance and the secret base of the TV men. In one of the leaks for the first part of episode 79, we saw a kind of charge device, and as I suggested earlier, it may well belong to the Titan TV man. This theory is supported by the fact that he appeared on the battlefield literally on fire and broken, but despite this, he was able to single-handedly destroy almost everyone who was at the enemy base. And when Stake asked, "Who do you think will win, Juggernaut or the Guardian of Destiny?" Dafuk replied that the power we saw in the Guardian of Destiny was far from being fully demonstrated. If we go back to episode 50, we will remember an important moment, when it seemed that the Skibidi Toilet army was about to capture the base and the agents had nowhere to retreat. Titan Cameraman suddenly returned and turned the tide. A very similar situation develops in episode 79. The Guardian of Destiny was able to bring the Duchess to the base of the Cameramen. And imagine, if G-Man and Titan Speakerman suddenly arrived to help the agents and sharply attack the Duchess and her forces, it could completely change the outcome of the battle. If you still don't understand what I'm getting at, I'll say it straight. I think all of this was planned long ago. G-Man and the other Titans understood perfectly well that someone would have to sacrifice themselves for the sake of victory. And if Titan Cameraman disappeared from the radar, Titan TV Man was an excellent candidate to replace him. Powerful, strategically valuable, and at the same time ready to sacrifice himself for the common cause. And if Titan TV Man really understood what was going on around him all this time, it means that in addition to the abilities he had already acquired, he may have also learned something much more important. For example, he may have heard secret conversations between high-ranking Astro Toilets, or perhaps even seen one of the Astro Toilets' secret bases. Thus, when Titan TV Man is finally released, and we are almost certain that this will happen sooner or later, he will be able to easily reveal the location of key objects, technologies, or further strategic plans of the Astro Toilets. And then his capture will turn out to be not a defeat, but one of the most important intelligence operations in the history of the conflict. It is also interesting that the Titans, for some reason, are in no hurry to dominate the war or take active action. Think about it. G-Man from episode 77 still hasn't been able to assemble his suit completely. Instead, for some reason, he talks about a secret weapon to suspicious characters, including Juggernaut. Yes, they used to be friends, but now they are essentially enemies. So why reveal your cards and share your plans with someone who could use them against you? Instead, it would be more logical to focus on developing the weapon itself, or at least on completing the transformation into a full-fledged Titan. The story with Titan Cameraman is a little more complicated. Everyone seems to have forgotten about his existence, although he could have been the very secret weapon. But here a reasonable question arises. Why hasn't he been shown yet? And why isn't he helping his allies in any way? I have two versions. The first, Titan Cameraman is still damaged and unable to fight. The second, more interesting one, Dafook deliberately keeps him in the shadows to bring him back at the decisive moment, just like in episode 50, for an epic and unexpected appearance that will have the maximum effect. And of course, when talking about waiting, one cannot help but remember Titan Speaker Man. We've been hoping to see him since episode 77, but so far, complete silence. He didn't show up with G-Man or the Speaker Man Armada. Moreover, the Speaker Man base has not yet been shown to us. Perhaps that's where they're hiding something from us. But it would be very funny if everything we talked about today turned out to be complete nonsense, and Titan TV Man's plan was actually just to get a couple of useless technologies for his arsenal without the slightest security measures. And the result? He simply put not only his own race at risk, but everyone else's as well. After all, as we remember, the location of all cameramen is displayed at the TV Men base, and if this information falls into the hands of the enemy, the consequences will be catastrophic. In fact, let's be honest and remember that Titan TV Man has never been particularly bright. Remember his most stupid actions. For example, in episode 47, he decided to attack a group of enemies alone, knowing that he was walking into a trap. The result? He almost died right on the battlefield. In episode 73, history repeated itself. He once again showed that he was completely incapable of fighting and using his technology wisely. His actions looked too clumsy, which allowed the G-Man to easily escape from the battlefield. So if it turns out that Titan TV Man has acted foolishly again, showing us the worst plan in the history of the series, I honestly won't be surprised. Finally, I want to share my opinion on the second part of episode 79. From the information available, we know that someone will probably die in this episode, and we should finally decipher the mysterious dialogue between G-Man and Astro UFO from episode 60. It is unclear whether all of this will be shown in the second part or left for the full episode, but in any case, these storylines are worth paying special attention to. Dafook also stated that he will try to release the episode this month, but he is not promising anything. Given the lack of serious leaks and footage, we can assume that the release will most likely take place on the 10th of July. In recent episodes, Dafook has repeatedly left us on the brink of defeat when it seemed that the enemies were about to destroy all the agents. Just remember episode 67, where Titan Cameraman almost died at the hands of his own allies, or episodes 57, and that's not even half of such cases. Apparently, episode 79 could be a turning point, the moment when the Astro Toilets reach the peak of their dominance over the Alliance. But remember the Parasite arc. Back then, it also seemed that everything was over, that the agents didn't stand a chance. And then suddenly, the anti-Parasite canon appeared, and after 10 to 15 episodes, the Parasites were no longer a serious threat. The same thing could happen here. We still don't know the main weakness of the Astro Toilets, but G-Man, who used to be one of the key fighters in their hierarchy, surely knows them like the back of his hand, including all their commanders and their vulnerabilities. In general, we can expect a sharp plot twist in the second part of episode 79, which will be gradually revealed in subsequent episodes. For example, in episode 80, since it is an anniversary episode. And as we know, anniversary episodes are always particularly intense, both in terms of unexpected events and the revelation of long-running storylines. Dafook also mentioned that the second part will be shorter than the first, so most likely we will see not so much a deep plot as a fast and intense battle. There may be few details, and all that remains is to be patient and wait for new leaks, or at least bits of information. Well, as always, this is Super Cameraman signing off. Good luck to everyone and see you later.